Alright, that's going up. Excellent. Ooh, that was lightning.
Sure was.
Oh, I hope the power doesn't go out again.
That would suck, wouldn't it?
That really would.
Probably announce that at the beginning of your stream that it is storming here, so there is a possibility the power might go out.
If you hear that, and if you heard the thunder, yes, there's a possibility the power might go out in the middle of the stream. If it does, I've got my phone. I will tweet from my phone to let you know what's going on. So let me just, put my Twitter down there for you real fast. So that way you can check Twitter for updates. Get rid of that one. Stop double posting my stream, YouTube. Okay. But we are live. Hello, everybody. Maybe. I don't know who all is there. I can't see chat just yet. Okay. So, changes saved. Okay, yay. Anyway. So, welcome back to Sunday Afternoon Shenanigans. I am your host, Cabbage Warrior Extraordinaire. I love it. I love having that fire now. It's very, very thematic. I might just keep that from now on. No idea what I'll be streaming yet. I have to look at what games I've got and what games I've played, what games I have made progress on. There's Always Sometimes Monsters. I just installed Cook Serve Delicious as well. There is the Jackbox Party Pack. There is what else is there? I can do some of the speedrun challenges for a story about my uncle. Could always do another 80 days. What else do I have on Steam? I have quite a lot on Steam, I believe. So let's see here. What is in my library? Banished, Barbarian, Blackwell. Excuse me. Breath of Death 7. Cthulhu Saves the World. Don't Starve. Donuts and Justice. Duke Nukem 3D. Footlaw, Hammerwatch. Definitely not that one. Need a second person for that one. Need more people for that one. That one I've got other plans with though too. I need somebody else for that one. I don't know. I think I'm gonna do a another 80 days because that was a nice challenge. And I feel like, whoa, that was loud. Gosh, loud. That took up a lot of the screen. So we will see about 80 days. Let's unload that. That one. There. Okay. Now, I've already beaten this, but there's multiple ways to do it, and you can actually end up unlocking different endings, so I think I will do this one and see where it takes me, per se. Alright. London, 1872. I have entered into the service of a new gentleman. It would seem he is a gambling man. And then this is based off of the novel by Jules Verne called Around the World in 80 Days, so, hooray for that. I got this from Humble Bundle. I forget which one exactly again. And I think even when I played it the first time, I don't remember which one I got either. Yes, we watch all the credits. I should update everything while I am doing that. See if this is on here. It is not, it appears. No, I don't want... Oh, dear Lord. I broke the live dashboard. Whoopsies. Okay, now I've got it back. I kept hitting F12. Okay. Well, okay. Hang on. That one. Alright. That's all saved in there. Excellent. Wonder if I can make this screen a little bit smaller. Now this game does read out more like a I can. No. Okay. That should do it. Because now I can see you guys chatting it up over there in the side. To a degree. Not all the way, but I can at least maybe see your name and maybe part of the message, but I will cross that bridge when I get there. Okay. Alright, so we're going to go to London. That's a little bit loud still, I think. Let me turn my audio down just a touch more. There we go. Click to begin. Get off my screen, stupid gnat. Hey, go away. Go away. Monsieur Phileas Fogg returned early home early from the Reform Club, and in a newfangled steam carriage besides. I helped him down, and the iron-lunged, steam-driven horses clattered away. Passepartout, said he, we are going around the world. Around the world, monsieur? I asked, utterly astonished. We shall circumnavigate the globe within 80 days. He was quite calm as he proposed this wild scheme. We leave for Paris on the 8:25 in an hour. This was a shocking turnabout for my master, who was, by all accounts, a creature of inflexible habit and mechanical regularity. Perhaps the carriage's engine fumes had affected his reason. For Paris, monsieur? To begin with, yes. Pack an altimeter and my evening jacket. There is not a moment to waste. You now have funds. Okay. So we're going to Paris. Okay. Pack. Is this pack? Hang on, just a second. I hear somebody getting into something they shouldn't be getting into. Sorry about that. Our dog likes to get into the cat's food. Okay, we need an altimeter. We need an evening jacket. I'll pack this because it's gonna be valuable in Paris, and then I can get some of the other stuff. So that should do it. Depart. Embark. For the Amphitrite Express. Give me just a second. I'm gonna have to this one auto hide, yes. Okay, now I can see everything. Okay. The mechanic horses raced past Piccadilly Circus and Pall Mall faster than a team of thoroughbreds. Even so, the whistle of the 825 was blowing as we pulled up to Charing Cross Station. We raced along the concourse and threw ourselves aboard as the second whistle shrieked its warning. We barely had time to take our seats before the guard rapped smartly on the compartment door. He held out a hand. "Tickets, please." I pretended to have lost them, patting down one pocket and then the other. I was about to start digging through our suitcases when Monsieur Fogg interrupted. "My valet is trying to express that we were in too much haste to purchase tickets," he said. And I tried to alter my mime to fit his interpretation. I had mixed success, but I did locate 2 5-pound notes under one of the seat cushions when I began using it for a shield. "You may purchase them from me," the guard was saying, "though it is more expensive, I'm afraid. 85 pounds, please." I argued with him, but only displeased Monsieur Fogg further. "Passepartout, you will pay the sum at once," he put in coldly, "and remunerate this man for his patience." I gave the man 100, and added a word or two of advice about allowing a little leniency to gentlemen in their hours of need. The guard gave me our tickets and slid the compartment door shut with him behind him with a pneumatic hiss. Oh crap. Converse. "I'm at your service. Journey. I have made a hefty wager, and I do not intend to lose." London's smog gave way to the rolling hills and pastures of the Kentish countryside, still untouched by the hand of technological advancement. Monsieur Fogg read his paper whilst I repacked our bags, thrown together in haste and confusion. As afternoon turned inexorably to evening, I discovered that my master was one of those gentlemen who broke the signs rarely, and if at all. A guard rapped on our door. "A few miles before Dover. We are about to submerge," she warned. Takes some people a bit funny, so watch out." "Very good," I replied, as though submerging inside a 1,000-ton metal train was quite ordinary for me. "If you feel claustrophobic," the guard replied, "try running up and down the corridor. I always find the exercise helps." With that, he closed the door. Would Monsieur Fogg be claustrophobic? I doubted it. He appeared not to be constrained by mere matters of place and circumstance. An alarm sounded as the fins above the Amphitrite's wheels extended with a hydraulic hiss. Night fell, and we plunged past the end of the track and into the freezing water of the English Channel. Yay! Now I am dependable. "You seem a quite handy man to have around, Passepartout." The Amphitrite plowed through the water overnight and splashed up onto wider gauge French tracks at Calais as dawn broke. "Do you have a route in mind, monsieur?" I asked as the water of the channel dried from the compartment windows. "I am as yet undecided," my master admitted. "The new canal has sped up the shipping route from Suez to Bombay, though perhaps we could take the Trans-Siberian Railway across Russia." "Surely not Siberia," I explained. "It is so cold and grim, and I have a particular fear of bears." "Then we would do well to buy furs," he replied, refraining from rolling his eyes. "There are other alternatives. We may also travel overland and across the Black and Caspian Seas." "But which is fastest?" "I believe," said he, "that is what we shall put to the test." Parbleu! I scarcely knew what to think. We arrived at Paris Gare du Nord just after 1 o'clock. Automaton porters lifted our luggage and then our persons onto the platform with long, delicately filigreed iron arms. Paris, city of my heart. I was home, but not to stay. I wonder if it really would be faster to go through the Suez Canal, because last time I did this, I took the Trans-Siberian Railway, which took a lot of time and money. I mean, it really ate away the funds. Market. Okay. I'll grab this. And that should do everything there. Let's explore. Okay, now we got new routes. Ooh, I can go to Nice. We had a few hours to spare. I asked Monsieur Fogg if I might enjoy the city before we leave. Indeed, and should you learn anything of note, be sure to relay it. I nodded and headed into town. Can I see the globe overview? Sweet. Hey, no, you do not. Fine. We'll go back. Okay. The talk of the sheets. Gosh, this is not the bedroom. The talk on the streets was of one thing only, an enormous, elegant oval stadium constructed upon the green fields of Champ de Mars, and containing the technological marvels, art, amusement parks, and milling crowds of the World's Fair of 1872. I ventured inside the grand illuminated pavilions of the exposition. I went west towards the... An artificer was replacing an arc light which had burned out. She first disconnected the strange machine powering the lights. It had a spinning iron wheel which was wound around it with a series of armature coils. I merely watched politely, not wanting to disturb her work. Artificers were a notoriously irritable breed. This is bleeding folly and waste, the artificer grumbled in a thick Yorkshire accent. These gram machines are finicky beasts. Gram machines? I inquired. Well, it's a... Oh, never mind. She waved my question away. It's a steam engine, all right. Only, it doesn't make steam. Will that do? I hate explaining this stuff to laymen. The harshness of her tone was belied by her gentle touch as she unscrewed the arc light's globe of enameled glass and replaced the 2 carbon rods within. She reconnected the supply, and the 10 Yablokov candles connected in series lit up once more. Will all the streets be lit with electricity soon? I asked. There are already a fair passel of cities lit by electricity rather than gaslight, she retorted. London will probably be last, given old Queen Vicky's prejudice against the Artificers' Guild. But Paris is modern, and we still use gaslight, I argued. The artificer eyed me sadly. Frenchy, are you? She sighed. Paris is nice enough, I suppose, but it's no Istanbul. Now there's a bleeding city. She looked at her pocket watch, cursed and hurried off, dropping something as she went. I hurried after her to return, and she thanked me. My medallion. I'll need that to get my lunch from the canteen. Thank you. I bowed in return, and she giggles. Stop that. You'll make me blush. She rubbed the coin thoughtfully. I was given this for my work in Istanbul, you know. I made a very special automaton. I think it works as a driver now, on the route up from Izmir. I think that's right. An interesting tidbit. She smiled. We artificers go all over the world, you know, she declared. How about that? Then she bid me farewell. Avenues sprawled in every direction between the inviting illuminated pavilions of the exposition. I headed toward the red and purple tents of the Artificers' Guild, draped with banners and blazoned with a copper lily sigil. A steam-powered automaton orchestra played gleaming brass instruments while a mechanical sommelier popped a cork from a champagne bottle and poured out the bubbling over glasses for passing tourists. One of the artificers had his hands deep inside a human-shaped automaton, rummaging through its clockwork innards. He took out a piece of engraved glass and peered at it with a jeweler's loupe. Dashed thing, he cursed in upper-class English tones, and then looked up. Oh, hello. I didn't mean to interrupt, I said politely. Nonsense, young man, he waved the glass shard dismissively. I'm trying to build an automaton that can cook, you see, but it's not going well. He looked mournful. This one can't even fry a chip. How long have you been trying? It's been a dream of mine ever since I was a young lad at boarding school. It's why I became an artificer. The wistful tone dropped into horror. The things old Mrs. Parsons could do to a cabbage, the tender stomachs of Britain's youth would be much safer in mechanical hands. Do you cook yourself? Not a jot, the officer replied cheerfully, then stroked his mustache. Do you suppose that's the fly in the ointment? He thumped me on the back. Good thought, old chap. Perhaps I'll go and find myself a cook to model my automaton upon. The officer smiled. I was rather skeptical of his ambition, but took my leave courteously nonetheless, and returned to the center of the exposition, ears ringing with the bombastic tunes of the steam orchestra. Crowds of tourists jostled and heaved past, their eyes wide with wonder. I took a stroll down the Avenue of Nations, lined with buildings in the styles of the nations of the world, and manned by foreign delegates in national dress. A most eclectic sight. The Austro-Hungarian delegation was being harangued by an officer who looked to me like a farm boy from Provence. The officer was pointing at one of the soldiers guarding the doorway and shouting in terrible German, Verboten! Verboten! What is the matter here? I asked the officer, and he rounded on me. These Austro-Hungarians, he raged, in peasant accented French. How dare they? What do they dare? The officer pointed. That! The soldier by the stand moved suddenly with a mechanical judder, and I realized he was no man at all, but rather an automaton with an enamel-painted uniform and pewter face. The officer cursed. These Austro-Hungarians have brought their automata soldiers to Paris, even though war machines are expressly forbidden by the guild. Who knows what danger they might represent? I turned away hurriedly. My feet were tiring, and the hour was growing late. I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who was eating a meal of plain boiled à la Did you enjoy the exposition? My master inquired diffidently, as though I had been out visiting a great aged aunt. Oh. And I nodded. Do you think we will encounter artificers on our travels? I asked with enthusiasm. Assuredly, I intend for us to use the most efficient transport available. I dreamed that that night of mechanical wonders and automatons with beautifully enameled faces, knowing the little of the strange inventions and stranger peoples I would soon encounter in my journey around the world. Okay, so we must plan. Okay. Arrive Saturday. Let's go to Budapest. Yes. Okay. So there's that one. And that's much cheaper, and I might be able to discover some new routes there. Okay. So now there's that. We took a hotel for the night. We will be comfortable here, Monsieur Fogg remarked, but traveling overnight will be more efficient. So we must board the longest journeys available. Where possible. We cannot travel where it is not possible, certainly, he replied. Still, the surrounds of the Hotel Ritz were most enjoyable. Depart. Okay, what do we have in here? Arrives tomorrow. This arrives today. There we go. We have the money to burn. Let's go ahead and do that. Because I can try to hit Budapest and hit the, sell the geometry equipment up there. Boarding the Orient Express was an altogether calmer affair than our race through London had been. Mechanical porters loaded us in through the windows, then snapped them shut with a delicate click. The train was extremely fast and could sweep us across the whole of Europe, or at least as far as Deutsche Kaiserreich, where the track currently ceased. At long last, whistle blew. Excuse me. A last long whistle blew, and we began our journey east. Austro-Hungary accused of World's Fair saber rattling. Yeah, I saw that. But yeah, because we can go down to Budapest. My master wished to be undisturbed, so as we left Paris, I left him and went to explore the train. There was a delightful dining car and an observation deck formed by the replacement of an entire compartment with an open glass cube. I attended the dining car and found a few groups of people talking quietly. I eavesdropped shamelessly, overhearing a conversation between a young composer and two Parisian ladies who, it transpired, were heading to the same concert in Vienna. I continued to listen, curious for the details about that city. My papa says it's very dangerous, remarked one girl whose name I learned was Isabelle Poitiers. He says the emperor is spoiling for war. I continued to listen to the youngsters, but their chatter turned to matters of hats, and though I was interested, the hour was late, so I returned to Monsieur Fogg, who, to my surprise, looked up from his paper at me. What did you learn? He inquired. I told him of the rumblings of war from Vienna, but he seemed indifferent. I do not think war will break out the day after tomorrow, he observed, so I think we will be safe. I had nothing more to say. We arrived in Vienna in the early hours of the morning. The customs officials insisted on searching our bags, of all things, artificing tools. I queried the official. Foreigners are forbidden from making automata within the borders of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, he repeated, with a bored expression. A strange state of affairs, but I was hardly an artificer, so it mattered little. The sun rose in the sky as we left the station, illuminating the wide, tree-lined avenues of Vienna in pale, welcoming light. Yay! I had nearly forgotten my experience at the Paris Exposition, but Vienna's streets reminded me full force. The Austro-Hungarian Empire's might is built upon its armies of mechanical men. They are a magnificent sight, ranged in gleaming rows along the wide Parisian-style boulevards. Their enamel uniforms shine to a polish. As I watched, I was approached by a bookish fellow who hurried out from under the impressive eagle-arched portcullis of the Zugaus, I think is how it's pronounced, the Imperial Armory. You think them fantastical? He demanded, a curious tone in his voice. Glorious, I replied, beautifully crafted. They are more impressive than you could imagine. He stuck out his hand. Herr Danzer, apprentice engineer in the Imperial Kriegsschatzmeister. We went to a cafe to talk, and once he started, he would not stop. Have you noticed none of the mechanical soldiers carry weapons? He hissed. What do you make of that? They are strong, I suppose, I replied, disliking the turn of conversation. Inside each one is a Mozart Haydn device, perfectly tuned, Herr Danzer replied. The song the soldiers sing is one of devastation. A battalion in harmony can punch through a steel wall. He drew a gilded flute from his scabbard and laid it on the table, looking at it thoughtfully. The flute is how you control them? I hazarded. He nodded sadly. Yes. We, the Musikersoldaten, control them with our instruments. I am the finest flautist in the Vienna Kriegsorchester. He began, to my horror, to weep. I patted his hand to comfort him, and he gazed at me inconsolably. As a boy, I dreamed of joining the Artificers' Guild, he confessed, voice hushed. But for someone born in this country, it is impossible. The Kaiser and the Guild are sworn enemies. The Guild, I reminded him, were politically neutral. He shook his head. The Guild are forbidden within the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Our automata are not Guild-approved. They are our own. His mouth was a cold line. The Guild would not countenance building as such monsters. Thanking him for the coffee, I strolled back along the avenues, watching the city pass by with new eyes under its gilded, manicured beauty. Thanking him for the coffee, I strolled back along the avenues, watching the city pass by with new eyes. Under its gilded, manicured beauty lurked something sharper and more bloodthirsty. Vienna was at once the city of music and the city of war. My character is now courageous. You're quite the flamboyant type, I see. Do I have anything valuable here? This is only worth that in Berlin. I'm not planning on going that far. Oh, jeez. Let's see if we can depart. I'll take the risk because we can take a private car to Budapest. I can sell that for some valuable money. We hired an oil-guzzling Bazik to take us along the open road from Vienna to Budapest. The road followed the rail tracks for much of the way, but we saw no trains as we chuffed along. International jewel thief, the Black Rose, Fox's French police. Ooh, interesting. We arrived in the evening without incident. So I think I can get down to Belgrade and even... Yes. No, I'm not going up to Moscow. That might be useful. Oh. We'll put that in here. I might need that. Okay. A dusty-jacketed Englishman at our hotel recommended a restaurant called Clemens to Monsieur Fogg. The Magyars make an excellent broth, he promised, ominous words indeed. I had never really been one for advice from dusty-jacketed fellow. Been one for broth. A broth is, in my humble opinion, merely an incomplete consommé. At best, an inferior bouillon. Monsieur Fogg was set on the matter, however. I could not argue and decided instead to sulk genteelly, in the manner of a well-trained chambermaid. We settled it to dinner at Clemens, where our soup arrived in gleaming silver tureen. My master, a man of impeccably high standards, even remarked upon the turene's flawless polish. At which point it exploded, splattering myself, Monsieur Fogg, and an extremely bewildered waiter in admittedly delicious salmon broth. A fellow diner had been struck by the edge of the tureen lid. It was bleeding from the temple. I'm going to attend to my master. I attended my master, who looked remarkably unperturbed by the entire affair. Perhaps in England, exploding entrees were commonplace? The head chef had, by this time, emerged from the kitchen. He pointed towards the wall and began a voluble rant, which needed little translation. The broth had splattered the ivory wall in the intricately curved shape of a lily, unmistakably the symbol of the Artificers' Guild. I beckoned over a waiter who attempted an apology in a mix of halting and English and German. "Never mind that," I cried. "The lily." "The lily," I exclaimed. "Indeed," he said miserably. "The guild has gone too far this time." I looked around at the chaos caused by a single bowl of exploding soup. "What do you mean? What did you do to the guild?" Our waiter sighed. "They were banned by the emperor, so we could make our own imperial automata outside of their control. The guild is growing more vocal in its objections. Personally, I thought that the Austro-Hungarian emperor was a fool. The guild was growing heavy-handed. Such matters smacked of political profligacy. That such matters smacked of European profligacy. Much better to do things the English way, with as little fuss and exploding soup as possible. But if the matter's political or left as far as possible from the dinner table..." We stayed for the main course, but did not enjoy it. The incident had rather shaken my confidence, and I could see my master was concerned. How many more exploding broths could our precarious journey survive? Let's explore because we need to find more routes. There we go. Yes, I can get to Belgrade, Thessalonica. I took a few hours to explore, investigating various options for how we might continue our journey. This is fine with me because we can either go there or actually... Let's go at least here. We can't? We're gonna go to Thessaloniki first, because I feel like if I can go there, I can maybe see if there's a route to Istanbul. If not, I can hit Athens and then find more shipping routes that way. I should have gotten that. Okay, nothing in there. Hotel. Pass the night. Okay. With what remained of the day, I afforded my master every service. There we go. There we go. Today we turned south. The Orient Express Company ran a spur line from Budapest that swept down the length of Europe to Athens. It originally stopped midway at Belgrade, but since that city's almost total destruction in the last confrontation between the Austro-Hungarians and the Ottomans, the train now went straight through. It was a wonder there were not more bombs. Such destruction, it was to be hoped, taught the powers that be a lesson about tolerance. I'm going to converse, see if I can find some more. Greetings, Madame Guard. Please show me your ticket first, please. Yes, monsieur. How can I help you? Can I get to Izmir? Okay, good. Tehran. So I may have to, okay. Probably because I have to take an airship from Istanbul. But I'm pretty sure if I can hit Izmir, I can probably get to Antalya. Despite knowing what to expect I could not help but gasp as we swept through the empty husk of Belgrade. It seemed home only to ghosts. It was like a perfectly preserved museum exhibit. To all appearances, one might believe there had never been people here at all. Quite what happened, no one truly knew. The roads, houses, viaducts were all still standing. The gas lamps still burned, but not a single voice cried out, and not a door or shutter moved. I asked Monsieur Fogg his thoughts, and he sighed, I fear that our age is seeing a great experimentation in warfare, much as in every other walk of life. I fear so, indeed, he replied, but at least the trains move faster. His answer seemed to me as bleak as Belgrade itself, but as the Orient Express left it behind, it carried us toward a long evening of gentle wines and candlelight, which went some way towards lightening the soul. I'm going to converse and see if I can... Health. Very good, very good. Yes, yes, yes. Good. We arrived in Thessaloniki station in northern Greece in the morning. We disembarked without delay. Oh, jeez. I'll go and put that up here just in case I... Actually, no. Canadian, I don't need that. I'm not going north. So we pack that. let's explore, because I need to find some more routes. Perfect. Okay. The people of this city are crazy. They go out in the evenings to tear down what remains of their city wall. I have never seen such a thing. Granted, it is not as though the walls keep anything out. They encircle barely half the city and are easily scalable due to the quantity of rubble piled up at this side and that. I stopped a young woman and asked what they were doing, but she only laughed in my face. "You may not know our city now," she replied, not in the least bit, answering my question. "But soon we will encompass the entirety of northern Greece." I remarked it seemed unlikely. "A mighty prize," I agreed in earnest. She nodded wildly before raising the sledgehammer she had brought along for the occasion. She set about the ancient walls once more, and I stayed nearby and helped out. But though I got into the spirit of the action, I must be honest, I did not enjoy it. I am a gentleman's gentleman, and my handiwork is delicate. Okay. Istanbul. This arrives tomorrow. This is more expensive. That's... This has an airship in it. I wonder if the airship can take me down this way towards Beirut. Let's see. We'll try it. Okay. The train wound up along the coastline of Greece, passing the stepped olive groves on one side and the sparkling Aegean Sea on the other. Monsieur Fogg did not look up, but I could not look down. Such beauty, such magnificence. Converse, see if I can learn some stuff here. Greetings, Senor Wame. De Vogard Passepartout, Athens. I am very interested in Athens. The ruins in Athens must be preserved, even if it means moving the people aside. Athens to... Now you listen to me, the quickest way to go through Izmir. Okay, Athens to... No, it's not forward. Dubai. Riyadh. Bolts of pure silk in Alexandria, profit in Agra. I'm trying to learn. I'm going to have to actually learn some more roads there. I'm going to have to do some exploring. Ooh, it's still raining outside. It's a nice greenish tint, sort of. Nice fall day. Anyway, the train rattled along at its own pace, the view spoiled by the endless construction work. Rather too slowly for my liking. An entire day to travel such a short distance. I glared at the vistas out of the window, but alas, I found that my scrutiny did not cause them to pass by any faster. The hotel was too expensive. We had no option but to curl up in a shady spot under a tree. Oh, jeez. Your character is now suave. I'm going to explore because I can learn some routes, which is exactly what happened. Only one. My master was not, as a rule, particularly interested in the fabulous locales and exotic cities we journeyed through. Athens was the exception that proved the rule. His sudden interest was not limited to the city. He fixed me with a look. Do you speak Greek? I did, though I will not go into the circumstances of exactly how I came to learn the tongue here. Most oui, monsieur, I smiled sharply, repeating a few phrases I had, shall we say, picked up. Monsieur Fogg blushed vermilion. That, Passepartout, he cleared his throat, is a very specialized vocabulary. Did I just curse at my master? Despite my master's grasp of ancient Greek, the demotic variant more commonly spoken on the streets eluded him. We were reduced to asking for directions through a combination of mime, moi, apposite quotations from Homer, my master, and half-remembered flattery, moi encore. We picked our way through the labyrinthine streets and of the Plaka and up to the Acropolis. I gazed at the Parthenon's columns, blah, 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 blah. I can only imagine how to that. It is exquisite, I breathed, interrupting Monsieur Fogg's silent reverie without quite meaning to. Alas, our quiet, companionable moment did not return. As we stood admiring the architecture, I was really knocked into by a small man with thick glasses. My hand flew to my wallet to ensure it was still there, but it was. The man blushed right at my gestures. My apologies, my apologies. Too occupied by the sight, perhaps? I suggested cheerfully, and the man smiled. I have seen it many times before, though, yes, it is most impressive. He put out his hand to shake. Dmitri Sophos, I am the owner of a modest shipping freight company based here. Ah, there we go. And to where do you sail? Sophos smiled and pulled a pamphlet out from his jacket that detailed the routes and timings. The one of most interest was a boat sailing to Cairo, which was leaving the next day. I thanked him. Ooh. But I've learned a new route, which is excelente. Pippin. Market. Wait, we are going to Cairo. Can of oil. I don't think I'm gonna go there. I don't know where that is. So I will. But we are planning. I'm gonna hit Cairo. Yes, we are going to Cairo. And it arrives tomorrow. See if I can fix something with the suitcase. I don't have anything to fix with the suitcase. What is he saying? We're gonna depart. I'm gonna give it a shot. We're only 8 days in and we're actually making pretty good progress, and this is actually really good for this one. I think I learned from the last one not to take the Trans-Siberian Express. Candy corn. I am a monster apparently. We boarded the daily ferry across the Aegean Sea, and then sat out on the deck, enjoying the sunshine, getting some much-needed rest. Oh, I thought I was going to the, Frigs. I wanted to go to Cairo. Okay, never mind. Other passengers milled around, talking loudly and drinking ouzo, chilled by chips of ice carved from blocks in the hold of the ship. Fudge muffins. Oh, geez. Okay, I'm just making quick decisions. I'm sorry if I'm interrupting anybody reading. Do, 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 do. The Kamertage from Istanbul to Tehran. Should have just gone to Istanbul. I've kind of sort of gone in a circle now. I'm not gonna pay that. That's just. Let me explore a little bit more. See if I can find. Since we can't get to Cairo. Oh wait. Let me explore before we depart. Took a brief turn about the docks. Okay. Perfect. Goods from the docks at Izmir were taken by steam carriage across the Ottoman Empire. We found a shipment aboard. Ah, Flower Soup is playing Stardew Valley. Hee hee. Anyway, and jumped aboard. The driver was a young boy. Who wore thick, darkened goggles and a headscarf tied tight around his head to keep out the dust. He gestured us to hold on and then stoked the fire, opened the steam valve, and took off at a terrific speed up the steep road slope. Let me attend to Monsieur Fogg. A cigar, excellent. Yes. Soon the sea was far behind us, and we were making our way along winding roads, tossing from one side to another. The boy took each corner with easy familiarity, moving the steering lever with quick flicking motions. "You have been to Istanbul before?" the boy demanded. "You are frequent travelers?" "Never before," I replied. "I drive this road twice a week," the boy replied. "My parents don't like it, but they like the money well enough." "Where do they live?" "Antalya. A nice place if you ever have the chance to visit." "Perhaps we shall," I answered. The boy nodded. "I hate it," he added. "I've lived there all my life, and it's boring." As if to prove his point, he steered with ever more savage abandon. Oh, crap. That night we slept in the carriage, which unfolded rather cleverly to form a tent. I discovered a certain detail during the night, which I will share here but nowhere else. As I went out to stretch my legs prior to attempting to sleep, I came across our driver, a short distance from the carriage, sans headscarf and goggles. Without this disguise, it was quite obvious that our driver was not a boy at all. He was not even human. Monsieur Fjord was oblivious sleeping quite comfortably. My master chooses to regard the world thus, behind closed lids. The next day, I remembered I had been told about this driver back at the World's Fair. I remembered that I had been told about this driver back at the World's Fair, so I could not remain quiet. I believe I've met the artificer who made you, I told him. Why do you hide yourself? I could see a flush rise between the goggles and scarf. It is the arrangement I made with my father, came the reply. He would not let me out here driving on my own, if my nature were known. I could understand that. The world is changing, I answered, sympathetically. It will not always be as it is now. The driver nodded, but did not reply, and we continued the journey amicably, if somewhat more quietly than before. A few more hours passed, and we arrived within sight of the great city of Istanbul. I'm gonna get from Istanbul to Tehran. Wait, is it valuable here? No, I can get more in I can get more in Tehran. Yes. Don't need this, but I do need this. Auckland, is that Australia? New Zealand? No, that's New Zealand, I think. Okay, we need to plan because we're on day 10. I awoke this morning in the silks of an Ottoman harem girl. Worse yet, I was forbidden in the women's apartments of Topkapi Palace. It came back to me all too clearly. A shuttered, noisy Armenian tavern, many cups of raki, the unexpectedly potent local liqueur, a smiling Greek merchant telling me of the incomparable mosaics of the harem of Topkapi Palace, home of the wives and coal-eyed concubines of the Sultan. But men are forbidden in the harem, he warned, on pain of death. He lured me into a wager which I had not the good sense to refuse. Curse my weakness for a fine mosaic. I bartered for a costume, reasoning that I could disguise myself as a repair woman and stride right through the front doors of the palace. I claimed I had been summoned to see to a faulty steam valve in one of the harem's many ornate luxurious baths, and was let in with minimal fuss. It seems that even sultans and their wives are servants to the vagaries of plumbing. I was unable to escape the same way, however. A lady blocked my path, demanding my costume in return for hers. I did exactly as she told me to. Soon, she was the repair woman, while I was a lady the guards did not recognize or care about, and together we walked out through the front door. My new friend thanked me, as I thanked her. Then she disappeared into the streets. I found Monsieur Fogg reading a newspaper back at our lodgings. He looked up and blushed a most violent shade of red as he took in my attire, setting his cup down with uncharacteristic force. I gave my master a... oh, jeez. I found myself in the historic quarter of Sultanahmet in the shadow of the glorious minarets of the Blue Mosque. I had some hours before I had to return to Monsieur Fogg, and I was finding myself attracting some entertaining attention in my flashing silks. I made my way to the Grand Bazaar, a covered market holding thousands upon thousands of stalls, divided into streets of vendors selling everything from Turkish leather slippers to dried fruits and nuts stacked in precarious pyramids. The vendors called out in every language known to man, and I'd wager some entirely invented. I pressed into the raucous throng, my senses overwhelmed by the calls of all the other vendors and the aromas of cinnamon and mint. From one man's stall I picked up a worked silver dagger. Ah, the Balkan Shah. I have no idea how to say that. With watered steel blade. A formidable choice, mademoiselle. The vendor enthused. A ceremonial item, although, he winked, it may have practical uses for a beautiful lady such as yourself. I smiled at him, and he offered me the dagger for 60 pounds. It was too much, so I left him with a nod and walked away. I explored the city further. The streets were full of magnificent sights. Historic places with rambling manicured gardens. Bright marbled mosques with minarets that glowed in the sunlight. And a mob gathering on a street corner. Being Parisian, I had a keen sense for a riot and tried to extricate myself quickly. Hampered by the encumbrance of my flowing silk costume, I stumbled only to be gently righted by a pleasant-faced young medical student. Be careful, sister, he cautioned me. The path to liberty is a treacherous one. I pulled my veil ever more securely around my face as the crowd surged forward, shouting slogans in Arabic and English, and even some well-worn phrases stolen directly from the French Revolution. I spotted an empty side street and took my chance. Ducking in, I waited till the crowd passed, but I was soon not alone. The student had followed my lead. Come no closer, I warned him, raising my fist. He raised his hands. I mean you no harm, sister. Please, but if you will only listen, I think you will see our cause is just. I did not want his company, so I ran in the opposite direction. The guards were growing rougher by the moment, and I fell several times before crawling my way out of the square. That's not what I planned on doing. A gigantic iron horse reared from the prow of the Istanbul-Tehran Express, billowing gouts of steam from its nostrils. The Kamar-Taj was distinctly Ottoman in design, but where even the most luxurious European trains sacrificed weight for efficiency, it was a matter of some pride that the Kamar-Taj's engines used a carefully guarded new Persian design, supposedly capable of achieving a top speed of 75 miles per hour. This could tip the balance of power in the region, perhaps even start a war. I began our journey with such weighty thoughts, reflecting with some sadness that steam power, for all its wonder, had only made the great game of empires more dangerous. Kabul. No, not Baghdad. That's gonna be backwards. I can't seem to get any useful information. This is no good. I mean, granted, I'm 11 days in and I'm already getting around to about the halfway point. Yeah, I'd be going backwards if I went to Baghdad. I need to keep moving forwards because otherwise it's not as efficient. With another long day of foggish calm beckoning, I fell into conversation with a thick-built janissary on his way to a new posting. I asked him about the Kamertaj. He grinned. Kamertaj is the moon horse of Turkish fables, he explained. If he held on to his mane, he could transport you anywhere in the world. As long as that place is Tehran, I declared, and the janissary agreed heartily, confiding that he was to be posted to the Ottoman embassy there. We talked a little of the recent pact between the Ottomans and Iran, sealed by the opening of the Istanbul-Tehran railway. All will be well, he said, as we climbed into our berths for a well-earned night's sleep, as long as Russian ambitions do not threaten the peace. Still not learning anything new. That's no good. The Kamertaj stopped for 5 hours at the Iranian border while various uniformed inspectors scrutinized our papers and peered into our faces. The janissary fielded the inspectors' questions for us, and we were spared the worst excesses of bureaucracy, for which I was sincerely grateful. I stretched my legs by walking the corridors. The Kamertaj was bristling with uniformed guards who grew more unfriendly as I approached the front of the train. 2 taciturn fellows blocked the entrance to the engine car, no doubt guarding the secret new engine designs from prying eyes. Just then I saw a flash of red outside and hurried to the window. To my shock, the red-haired woman from my compartment was hanging from the side of the train. She looked up at me through wind goggles and lifted an arm to wave, and I saw her hand was covered in a twisting metal gauntlet covered in rubber suction cups, much like those on a squid. As I watched, she determinedly began to sucker her way toward the engine car. I considered calling a guard, but despaired of explaining the strange sight to them in my halting Turkish. Perplexed, I returned to my compartment. It was at least an hour before the red-haired adventuress appeared, cheeks ruddy, but otherwise not a hair out of place. You looked flushed, madame, I remarked. Oh, you flatter me, monsieur, she returned with all the vapidity of a country de Bonte. We exchanged some small talk, and I discovered her name was Kessia. I have no idea how to pronounce it. It's Russian. Ah, yes, I tried valiantly to penetrate her laughing facade, but all too soon the Kamertaj pulled into Tehran station. Unsurprisingly, perhaps, the red-haired adventuress had disappeared by the time I gathered up our bags. But by then I was too entranced by the sights and smells of the ancient city of Tehran, capital of the Kingdom of Iran. And now is where I get the big payday for the oil can. Boop. Oh, I've got my harem silks. Okay, let me see. Don't need any of those, I don't think. Is anything valuable here? I'll find out, but I should plan. Oh. Okay, so I should explore and see if I can find a route down there. That's no good. Okay, I'm gonna call it for this one. I might continue this later on tonight at about 6 o'clock. We'll see. So I'll put out on Twitter whether or not I will be able to make a 6 o'clock stream or not. So anyway, thank you for watching. And if you like this, you can always hit that like button, leave some remarks, comments, whatever. Say hi. I don't know. And I will see all of you in the next one. Bye.